Good day, fellow modelers. Mr. Handy back with another handy review for you. Today we're going to take a peek at the newer Fine Molds F4. So Fine Molds has been eating up the F4 market here recently. They released this earlier this year. They have covered all the F4 versions for Japan. So there's the F4EJ, and then there's the EJ Kai, which they did a bunch of attachments to improve it. And then they came out with the F4E early version for Vietnam. And then, of course, this past spring, and no, it was past fall, this past fall. So August, September, and October, they released their F4CD and J versions. The C's are Air National Guard. The D is another Vietnam version, I believe, and they do two sets of J's. One is Navy and one is Marines. So those were all limited editions. So they've been pretty hard to get if you didn't pre-order them. They come with some extra pilots and stuff, but. Anyways, they've been gobbling up the market, and I have to say, I mean, you can see, I have to say this is probably one of the best F4s on the market right now. Granted, it is the new mold, but it definitely is much better than Hasegawa's. I mean, Hasegawa, I think everybody used as the go-to F4 kit. So Academy's was pretty nice, but they only did the J version. So now we have a bunch of long nose and short nose F4s by Fine Molds. So anyways, we'll get right into it. You get a bit of a information on what's in the kit. The nice thing about Fine Molds, if you've never built them before, is they come with their own line of detail. They call them detail up kits or detail up parts. So in this one, you can actually get there's F4 seatbelts. They do some of the pilot tubes and probes, and they do gun barrels and stuff as well. And then they do the mirrors. So, as you can see, the cover art is very nice. And then we come over to this side, and then you get a bit of just a brief history on the F4. So, as it says, this is a Vietnam War early version. So you get the rounded, gun front, I guess, for lack of a better term. So, but the nice thing is, we'll show you, is you actually get both them in this, so you can do a little bit of a later version of the F4. So, as always, we'll get into the instructions. Again, a lot of information here, all in Japanese, of course. And then we get into our parts breakdown. It's nice, and it's a kind of an indicator that they're going to be doing some later versions. As you can see, they've got the F-15 belly tank on here as well, which is nice. So, like I said, hopefully we're going to see some later versions of the F4. I know that they were talking about a later version, but I don't know if it's going to include slats or not. I'm hoping so. And that one was in Euro 1 camouflage, American. So, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll get to see an F4G. So, but again, just basic information on modeling. And then we get right into the actual building steps. So, of course, you do your cockpit. Now, for those who haven't done a Fine Mold cockpit, these are basically the exact same type of cockpit layout as on their Tomcat. I really like this layout system that they've started doing. It's got these plugs in the front, and then it just, if you take a look over here, they just kind of plug into the cockpit section. So it's really nice. It keeps it very simple instead of having to mess around with gluing the sides and stuff like that. The other thing I really like is these consoles. So you get the consoles for your F4, and you can basically you get two versions. Actually, you get a detailed version, so it's got surface detail, and then you have a flat version for just the decal, and they provide both. And then, of course, you know, this cockpit section gives you the ability to swap out the different console pieces. The F-14 had the exact same thing, so that they could do the different versions of the Tomcat, the F-14A and the F-14CRD. And so, again, you also get the same thing with the panels, your instrument panels. You get a clear one, or just like nothing with any detail, and then you get one that's got surface detail, and it's a nice option that they provide. Again, we get into just doing the cockpit. I like this. Of course, it's not seamless, but it's much better than just having that black or that plastic piece there you paint black on, like you get on most kits. It's nice to see a semi-accurate ducting for the F4. So another thing which is really cool, and you'll see it better in the kit or when we do look at that, is the fins for the splitter plates. They actually provided the little attachments as fins on the side, so it's interesting. As we see, this is all the fitter plate section. We get into the rear section of the Phantom, and the other thing I really like is this spine piece. Again, it's made to switch out for different versions. This, of course, would be the version for the Air Force, because it's got the refueling receptacle in the back. The Navy version, of course, won't have that. So once I get that kit, we'll take a peek and see what the differences are. The other really cool thing about this kit is they provide the doors open for the auxiliary engine access panels, or access doors, which is really, really nice. You don't usually see that on most kits. I think the only other kits that had something like that were the monogram kit, the old 72nd scale monogram kit, and then I think there was a version of the Fujimi, one of the Fujimi's Phantom or British Phantoms that had that as well. So it's nice to see, and then you get a fully detailed pieces, so you get that detail of the engine to place in there, which is really, really nice. Again, you're putting your wings together, putting on your body. Here we see the addition of the gun and the nose. This is another thing that I find really rather interesting too, is that they've split the back portion up. So this whole piece that was that's all basically metal on the actual F4 is all a separate piece, and it's nice. It's interesting to see, and it's nice to see that the ejector or the landing hook is a separate piece as well. And the other thing that's rather interesting is they've added these pieces to the sides for when you go to put the engines in. And I guess that's kind of an interesting idea, a better way to deal with it than just having it sitting there before. Because like I said, most kits you just slid it in and that was it. But I guess we'll have to take a look once we get the model done. This is your rear fin, and as always, they give you just the main fin, and then they give you the additional pieces, because again, this seems like it's going to be harking to different variants coming out, I would think. So separate parachute door on the back, your main landing gear. Again, you get into the doors for the landing gear, and it seems like there's some detail on the door, on the insides of the door, and it just kind of slides in. So, I mean, that's really very handy as well, too. And then we're just finishing off the main gear here. The front gear, it's nice to see the actual hydraulic piece there, too. You don't usually see that on most. And then putting it all in. And right here, you can actually see there's the, that is the earlier version of the front of the gun, and then there's your later version for, I mean, I don't know the full understand, but like I said, this, from what I understand, this was the earlier version, and then because of gun gas ingestion and stuff like that, they changed it to this. So this just again kind of harkens to a possibility of a later F4 coming out. Then we get into the again the main or the front wheel doors. This is where we get into some interesting stuff. So we're putting together the pylons on the F4. So going through the kit, and we'll actually take a look at it when we you have these splitter plates that go in here that were on all F4s. And then what they've also done is they've added for later versions the flare and shaft dispensers, which were attached to the back of these pylons. So again, it seems like they're going to come out with a later version. Your tanks, again, the earlier belly tank. Your ejection seats, which seem to be pretty nice. We'll have to take a peek and see. Again, your front of the cockpit, your HUD, and then you get into the canopy, and they actually include the gear for the canopy, the hydraulic gear, which is nice. It's nice to see that. And then it's just some aerials. And then we get into this lovely couple of pages. This is all the stenciling for your Phantom. And in some of the cases, what they've done is to make it a little easier. They've taken a bunch of things, and as you can see, there's kind of blobs of things. So hopefully that works out well. Again, you kind of have the same type of thing here. If you can see, there's a little bit of an outline on the decals. So there's this whole section of decals goes up there. Hopefully things work out, and if you do that, it doesn't silver. That's the only downside to some of these multiple decals at times, is that they tend to, if the decals aren't all that great, they tend to silver. So what we've got here is two Vietnam era versions. So they said Vietnam War. This, as far as I understand, is the only one that served in Vietnam, though. So this is the tailcoat is JJ, and this served in Korat in '69. This one is LA, and if I recall correctly, LA is an Air National Guard unit, LA being Louisiana. I think that this is Louisiana Air National Guard or Barksdale. So, but if we take a look, it's the 366 Tactical Fighter Wing. Now, I don't know where that is from right this second, but I don't believe that this partook in Vietnam. Maybe it did, and they just changed the when it came back, they changed it over. I don't know if Barksdale or Louisiana Air National Guard went to Vietnam, but again, as far as I remember, LA is Barksdale or Louisiana Air National Guard, which makes sense because Barksdale is in Louisiana. So, and then of course here's your top section of the camouflage. So you get the nice two shark's teeth aircraft, so it's interesting to see. Let's get right into it. So as we see, so they again, I'm starting to notice that a lot of model companies are kind of putting things into the same bag together. So if you're doing the main body portions or something like that, it's all kind of stuck together in one bag, and then a back end or engine stuff is in a different one. But so here we start with, we'll take a look at the rear portion and the pylons and the main belly tank. Now, they don't look all that great from there, but once we actually get in, you can see that there is some nice rivet detail. The detail on this kit is very, very nice, I have to say. I think that the detail on this is absolutely fabulous, and as you see, these pylons are absolutely phenomenal. Landing gear looks not too bad. But again, I mean, depending on what you're going to do, you're either going to leave it or you're going to super detail, as people like to do, put on their hydraulic lines and stuff like that. So when we get into the main body, so here's your top of one of the wings. As you can see, not rivets everywhere, but there's enough to probably keep people happy. The detail on the bottom is also very, very nice. There's your access doors. And then we go along, and it's got these little plug-in again for the other sections. I love these little plugs. These are great. Keeps the model together. If we flip over to the other side, you can see that there's some nice detail in the main landing wells. So main landing gear wells are nicely detailed. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We get into this part here. So this again is the engine and cockpit section, and then we have the air intakes. So you're gonna have to trust me on this one, because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show it or not. But there is some very, oh yes, there we go. You can just see it. Nice detail on the inside. Unfortunately, it's gonna be a pain in the butt to paint that. So there's parts for your ejection seat, more parts for your ejection seat. These are the gear doors, and more portions of your gear doors. And if you can take a peek here, unfortunately, hopefully we can pick it up. I don't know if you can or not, but there's some nice rivet detailing on the insides. And unfortunately, we can see that there are some bad ejector pin marks on the inside. So we'll have to do some work on those. But as you can see, there's some nice riveting. This, of course, is your trunks for your air intakes. We'll take a look here. Some more work on there's the detailing on the insides of the wheels. And those look pretty nice. Again, there appears to be a couple of ejector pin holes, which kind of sucks, but all in all, I think this kit's very, very nice. So there again here is your cockpit section. So we'll take a look at the side walls in a second. There's your front landing gear bay. We'll take a quick flip over here. Here's the the bang seats. Your Martin Bakers, and then you can see right here is the main control panel, and then the co-pilot's control panel. So again, lots of nice detail. We'll take a look at this section here of the rear of the and as you can see, it is very nice. So it's all recessed detail. And then, wow, when you take a look at the, there's your tail hook, and again, it's very detailed. Nice, very, very nice. We'll take a look at the main body next. So I like how a lot of the model companies now do this. I guess it's called slide molding or something. But I love this complete piece. Modelers from my time, all F4s were split down the middle. So you never had any of this. So this is all kind of brand new, and it's nice to see. Academies is very similar to this as well, I believe. So, and then you take a look at Trumpeter and stuff like that. They do similar with their MiGs and SUs, but the detail, as you can tell, is pretty nice. But again, depending on your views with regards to rivets and stuff, there is some, and that might be good enough for some people, and whereas the other guys that love rivets, they can always use Rosie the Riveter and add their extra rivets in. Now we'll get into the itsy bitsy pieces and then the front of the Phantom. So here's your front sprue. Of course, there's your two sides. and then the bottom and all the wheel doors and all the other bits and pieces. Here's your main fin. So again, a little bit of nice detail here and there. Your gun is there as well. Here's the bottom section. So, and then the plug should be in around here. Yep, there it is. So we'll take a look on the inside of the cockpit first. And as you can see, there's a little bit of detail in the interior of those. So then we'll take a peek on the outside. And as I had said, here are these little finlets for the splitter plate. It's nice to see those because you don't usually see those on most kits. And then we get into the detail on the side. And again, I mean, it'll do, right? So, and then the other side. So it's nice. Oh my goodness. I think that they have added. So I'm not too sure. I'll have to take a little bit closer, but there you can see some plugs for the air intakes on the side of the canopy or of the cockpit. You get the same thing there. I'll have to take a peek through the instructions to see, but you might not have to dig those out if you want to detail it. Or those could be just the guides to keep it off the main body. And then, of course, here's your inner part of the air intakes. We'll get into the guts, basically, or of the cockpit. And so here is basically most of the cockpit pieces. So and it's part of the tail. So as you can see from the parachute doors, you get the earlier version, plus you also get the later version with the Raha bulbs on the back. There's your combing for the front of the Tomcat. Here is what I was talking about. So this here, I'm assuming, I would think that this is part of the rear cockpit. So there's the one that you would use if you want to just use the decals. And then here's the one that you would use if you want to actually detail it. And as you can see, the detail I think is pretty nice for this scale. Definitely more than adequate for this scale. So again, here is the other section of the fin that you're going to use. Here's your nose. And as I said, on the Kai version, which they do, the Kai is the updated Japanese version. They have a whole bunch of lines, much like on the F-16. Looks really rather neat. Again, here's another version or another look at the side consoles for the front cockpit. There is your bare rear cockpit instrument panel, and then there's the one that you need for when you're actually going to for the detail, and then again for the front, here's your front one for the decal, and then there's the one with the detail on it. And it is, I mean, I think it looks perfect. And then of course you got your you know what, I'm not too sure what that is, but yeah, those are your instruments for that part. Let's get into this section. So lots and lots of missile pylons, which is absolutely fabulous. It's so nice to have all these different missile pylons. They've got the different missile pylons for the different marks of whatever was being used. I believe that there's a missile pylon here for the AIM-4. There's missile pylons here for the earlier AIM-9s, for the later AIM-9s, and then for whatever the version of the AIM-9 that the Japanese use. The only thing that really, really bites about this is that Fine provides no weapons in this kit. There are no weapons in any Fine Mold kits, which really, really sucks. So Fine Mold provides, much like Hasegawa, they provide those weapon boxes by themselves. And they are very, very nice. But again, it really kind of sucks because now you have to spend, you spend $50 or whatever, $40 on the kit, and then you got to go spend another 20 for weapons. So, but anyways, let's take a look. So as I said, we've got the different versions of pylons for the AIM-9s. This is what I was talking about. So here we got all these different splitter plates for the F4's pylons. And then we get in over here, and again, we have our chaff and flare dispensers for the pylons, which is really, really nice. I love that they've added that. And we get into the fuel tanks. They're kind of plain Jane, not tons and tons of detail, but they're fuel tanks, right? So, and then of course here's your older main body fuel tank. And you can just make out some of the detail. So, as I said, it's nice that they've provided some options. Like I said, though, it really kind of sucks that there are no weapons. So, and now we have the different, or we have the attachments for the wings and the tailplane. So here we have the tailplane separate. As you can see, maybe from these, we get the slats in them. So we got the older ones. I don't know if the earlier versions of the F4 are going to have a different tailplane, but and as you can see, the detail on these tailplanes is really, really nice with regards to the riveting. So then we get the outer sections of the wing. Again, they've added some of the nice detail. It appears as though you might have some attachments that could go on this. As you see from the backs here towards the end, there is some rather nice detail as well. The Japanese F4s have, I'm assuming they have a different version of this, so they probably you won't have to cut this off, but they have a different, I'm assuming different version of this because their F4s have these big bulbs, some type of electronic warfare system or something on the wingtips. So, and then we have the burner cans. So, and as you can see, that it's not too bad. And then here's these weird extra pieces, and they look really, really nice. And I would love to get in to show you the detail if I could. I don't know if it'll pick it up or not. It does a little bit, but it's nice to see that. They put that stuff in, and it's a little bit separate. It's an interesting idea. We'll have to wait and see how it goes when we build the kit. And then we have the clear parts. I'm not going to take them out of the bag because they're all pretty. But as you can see here, you get the front nose wheel light. There's a HUD in there. And a couple of other things I'm not too sure of. And then you get your front windscreen, and then you have in the back here, you get the full windscreen, and then you have the split windscreens, which is nice. So it's nice that they give you the option, and I mean, I don't want to open these, but the plastic seems super clear, super crystal. So very, very nice. And then for our last little bit, we'll take a look at the decal or decals. Like I said, we've got JJ and LA. Down here, you have your instrument panels, decals, and then all your other bits and pieces. I like that we have the... this is why I'm kind of thinking that this is Barksdale or National Guard, or Louisiana National Guard or Barksdale. What you get is you've got the normalized stars and bars, which was around during Vietnam. And then we have this one, which is kind of a toned down version of it. And this, as far as I can recall, was only really used like mid 70s to the really, really early 80s. You saw this a lot on F-15s. I haven't seen it so much on F-4s, but you did see it a lot on F-15s, so that's why I'm thinking this might be just a later version from the Air National Guard in Louisiana, but don't know. We'll have to, you guys will be able to tell and do some research. Yeah, that's about it for this kit. As I said, Fine Molds is gobbling up this market, and like I said, I mean, the kit is very, very nice, I think. This is probably the best F4 kit now in 72nd scale. 72nd scale F4s are getting hard to find now. You had the Hasegawa kit for the longest time, and then you always had the old standby from Monogram. I know that there's a lot of companies re-releasing, but they're re-releasing the older stuff. So Italeri has re-released the old ESCI Phantom, which is, you know, that is an old kit. And then as far as I remember, they re-released the Monogram kit as well, too. And then I heard that their British Phantoms are being released, and they're the old Fujimi molds. So, but for newer molds, the only things that we've gotten in the past little while were Academy, Fine Molds, and then Revell did a bit of theirs a little while ago too. So, but as I said, personally, I think this kit's really, really nice. I think that with the different versions, because you're getting the short nose and long nose versions, and I'm hoping that we see some more variants come out with regards to this, and they fill that market up a little bit. So it's nice to see Fine Molds doing that. It'd be nice to see a couple more kits come out that have need to be re-released because they're been sitting out for a while. So anyways, that's it for this review. Thanks for watching. Again, like and subscribe, please. Helps us move around. And if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Always looking for suggestions on what I can review. Other than that, you have yourselves a great day. Happy modeling, and we'll see you in the next review.